We have never been more connected. 8 billion people, 5 billion online. Messages delivered in milliseconds, faces on screens at every hour. And yet, we have never felt more alone. How is that possible? How can we be surrounded by voices and still feel unheard? How can we share our lives with thousands and still feel unseen? Maybe the question isn't whether social media makes us lonely. Maybe the question is why we turned to it in the first place. Imagine a city where everyone lives in glass towers. You can see inside every apartment, people eating dinner, celebrating birthdays, dancing alone in their kitchens. And they can see you too. At first, it feels like connection. You wave, they wave back. You share photos of your life. The numbers appear, likes, reactions, smiles. It feels good for a moment. But then you notice something. The people across the way are not looking at you. They're looking at their own reflections in the glass, adjusting the lighting, perfecting the angle, waiting for their own notifications. Slowly, the city becomes quieter, not because people stopped speaking, but because no one is listening. Somewhere between the early internet and today, we built a world where everyone is visible and almost no one is truly seen. We were promised connection. What we got was an audience, and an audience is not the same as a friend. Social media platforms are not neutral spaces. They are designed systems with a single goal: to keep you scrolling. Infinite scroll removed the moment of choice. The feed never ends. There is always more. Our brains, wired to seek novelty and reward, cannot resist that possibility of something new. This is not accidental. Platforms hire psychologists and neuroscientists to build features that exploit our craving for validation. Every like is a small hit of dopamine. Every comment feels like proof that you exist. Every share feels like a confirmation that you matter. But the reward is unpredictable. Sometimes you get attention, sometimes you don't. This unpredictability is what makes it addictive. The same mechanism as a slot machine. And the algorithm learns what keeps you engaged. Outrage keeps you engaged. Envy keeps you engaged. Anxiety keeps you engaged. So that's what you see. People at their best. People at their worst. But rarely people as they really are. You see the vacation, not the argument on the way there. You see the promotion, not the rejection that came before it. You see the relationship, not the loneliness inside it. And slowly you begin to feel like you are falling behind in a life you were never trying to live. But there is a deeper problem. The platforms don't just show you other people's lives. They ask you to perform your own. You curate, you edit, you present a version of yourself designed to be liked. And the longer you play that character, the further you drift from who you really are. Loneliness is not the absence of people. It is being surrounded by people who don't know you, including yourself. Why does this system work so well? Because the vulnerability began long before social media existed. Many of us learned in childhood what it feels like to speak and not be heard, to need and not be met, to wonder if we matter. Maybe your parents were busy. Maybe you were overshadowed. Maybe your voice blended into a classroom that never called your name. You learned to earn attention, to perform, to impress, to become whoever you needed to be in order to be noticed. And when you finally were noticed, even briefly, it felt like love. This is the birth of external validation, the belief that your worth lives outside you, in other people's reactions. Social media doesn't create this belief. It feeds on it. Because deep inside, many of us are still that child waiting to be seen. Social platforms offer irresistible clarity. Post something, and you instantly know if people care. No waiting, no uncertainty. But numbers are not intimacy. Followers are not friends. Attention is not love. You can be surrounded by people and still feel deeply alone. True presence requires vulnerability. It requires showing the parts of you that aren't polished or filtered, the parts that don't fit neatly into a caption. But vulnerability is terrifying. What if you show your real self and nobody cares? What if silence follows? So we stay behind the glass. We communicate, but we don't connect. We share, but we don't reveal. We gather thousands of shallow connections instead of risking one meaningful one. Modern loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the presence of people who don't know you, and the fear that if they did, they might turn away. Here is the paradox. We are the most connected generation in history, and the most isolated. Maybe the real question is not whether social media makes us lonely, but what kind of connection we are seeking. There's connection of breadth, reach, visibility, audience. This is what social media offers: 1,000,000 shallow streams. And there is connection of depth, presence, understanding, the feeling of being with someone without performing. Depth takes time. It asks for effort. It asks you to show up when you're not at your best, to be honest, to be human. Social media promises connection without cost, but the cost is always there. The cost is depth. The cost is presence. The cost is the slow and uncomfortable work of being known. Loneliness is not about being alone. It is about not being understood. And no algorithm can understand you. No metric can see you. No notification can hold you. We think we are connecting, but often we are performing, broadcasting, shouting into the void and counting the echoes. And the more we perform, the more we lose track of the person who wanted connection in the first place. The deepest loneliness is losing yourself while trying to be seen. Sometimes in the middle of scrolling, a thought appears. I don't actually care about any of this. Not the likes, not the comments, not the opinions of people I will never meet. What I want is to sit in a room with someone who recognizes my voice when I'm sad. To have a conversation that doesn't need a caption. To be with someone in silence and not feel alone. We turned to social media because we felt lonely. And in doing so, we built a world where loneliness became normal. But nothing can take away the ability to stop performing, to be unimpressive, to choose authenticity over visibility. You don't need to be seen by everyone. You only need to be known by someone. Real connection begins in quiet moments, in presence, in the parts of life that no one will ever post. Social media will be there tomorrow. The feed will still scroll. Notifications will still arrive. But sometimes you can let them wait, because the people who truly matter are not watching your story. They are living it with you.